Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Danny Torvald. I'm the Analyst Relations Manager for Decisions. Today, we're here to talk about what our insurance customers taught us, insights for 2025 strategies. Thanks so much for making some time for us today, especially as we're so close to the holidays. We really appreciate your time. So, as I said, I'm Danny Torvald. I'm the Analyst Relations Manager. What do? I'm the guy that talks to Gartner and Forrester and Everest and all the different analysts about how great we are. Today, we're so lucky to be joined by the top brass. We've got Gordon Jones, Chief Revenue Officer and Head Bottle Washer here at Decisions, king of all trades. And we're so lucky to be joined by Veda, one of our crack pre-sales engineers. Gordon, what can you tell us about our guest today?
Sure. I'd like to introduce Louis Naho. Louis is the founder and CEO of Digital Experience Labs, our premier partner in Australia, New Zealand. And Louis comes to us with a lot of experience, and he's worked in the insurance industry for many years. A lot of our mutual clients are in the insurance space. And welcome, Louis.
Thanks for the invitation, Tim. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for getting up so early. It's definitely the crack of dawn in Australia. Thanks so much for making some time for us, Louis.
All right.
We're really excited to dive in. Really excited to dive in today's presentation. But before we do, a couple of plugs. Be sure to check out our next webinar. The next one that we have scheduled is for January the 23rd from 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. Close loans faster, how automation powers financial transformation. And also we'll be at SAP Insider in Vegas, March 18th through the 20th. So any of you that are SAP customers, be sure to look us up there. Great news, we were just named a major contender by the Everest Group in their Process Orchestration Peak Matrix Assessment for 2024. It's a mouthful. But really great news as we continue to move up the rankings across all of our analyst portfolios, especially considering the size and scope of some of the names on this screen. I wanted to make another really quick plug about process mining. We're currently working on some really interesting stuff in the analyst space around process mining. But as a special benefit of attending this webinar, you could receive a complimentary claims process analysis to complete a visual breakdown of your processes and actual insights for optimization, valued at $10,000. So if you're interested in learning about our process mining and how it could streamline your claims processing, be sure to fire off a note here in the chat or send an email to Mark Klein at decisions.com. Now, as I said, the chat is open. We love a spicy chat here at Decisions, so go ahead and if something comes to mind, if you're wondering about an integration or how we handle a certain part of the process in Decisions, we're going through it, just pop it into the chat. We have lots of folks on here as well from Decisions that can answer those for you in live time, and we'll have some Q&A at the end. So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Decisions. About the platform. I promise not to take too long and we'll get to the good stuff. But really today we're going to focus on what we've learned from our insurance customers this past year. We've just gone through a really introspective period of interviewing all of our insurance customers about their use cases, how they're using our platform, and challenges that they're facing in their individual markets. We'll also talk about the 3 barriers of agility. Speed is king in all business, but especially in the insurance business. We'll take a demo and actually show a specialty insurance use case, and then we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about Decisions. What is Decisions? Decisions is a no-code automation platform with a rules engine, an integration layer, a workflow manager, process mining, and an interface designer. All the tools that you need to automate any process across your enterprise. The first one, that rule system, it's a system that allows users to define, manage, and execute business rules. It gives businesses the ability to keep logic consistent and centralized in one place. Our integration layer, we're an open API platform, gives you the ability to weave a connection between all of your apps and systems, breaking down the silos, ensuring that data flows smoothly, accurately, and in real time. A workflow manager gives you the ability to create, manage, and execute business workflows, allowing tasks to move from one step to another based on a predefined criteria. Next, process mining gives you the power to examine business processes based on event logs and helps in discovering bottlenecks in those processes, process patterns, and suggesting improvements for those processes. And then finally, our interface designer gives you the tools to build engaging, exciting customer and user experiences through things like design, dashboards, charts, portals, web pages, landing pages. All of these tools require 0 lines of code. They're all completely visual, and it helps you just build things, solve problems faster. So let's take a look at the 3 key use cases for decisions. The first is a pure business rules or decisioning application. The rules engine gives you a place to centralize business logic and then expose that business logic to business users, the people with the domain knowledge of the problems to be solved, so they can edit and maintain those rules using graphical design tools. It gets the logic out of store procedures or web pages, custom code, or your team's head, and puts it in a place where you can easily change it and maintain it without diving into the code. It's enterprise class. It's capable of millions of transactions a day across thousands of rules in areas like medical claims processing, insurance underwriting, mortgage processing. At Roche Genentech, for example, where you formatting, enhancing clinical lab trial data across all of their global trials. The next case is what we call extend and expand. And I think this is a really good example of that one, what we're talking about today. It's really common when we work with a customer where they already have a lot of major out-of-the-box projects that need to be part of an automation solution. This could be CRMs, ERPs, databases, rating and pricing engines, or other products that are built to handle just a part of the process. Decisions is designed to integrate with these out-of-the-box solutions and then automate special processes that these systems don't do well. Things like human-in-the-loop approval processes, special pricing, things like that. To do this, we have several ways to integrate with your current system landscape. We have several out-of-the-box integrations. You can see some of them here at the top of the slide. But most importantly, we can connect to anything with OpenAPI. And most modern systems have that. So if you have a specific connection that you're wondering about, go ahead and pop it into the chat. We'll answer it for you here in live time. Taking the previous step a step further, we often act as an orchestration layer between different applications. So if you have several different applications that you have users, data in, you can use decisions and middleware to bring in data from one application, trigger an activity for a user in another application, or even populate an outcome in yet another. Our most common use case is to act as an orchestration layer between various software applications or services, and then engage users in workflows that cross those application boundaries. So if any of that was interesting to you, thank you so much for your patience during the salesy part of today's discussion. Reach out to us at sales@decisions.com or pop a notice in the chat there. We'd be happy to follow up and set up a demo for you with one of our brilliant sales engineers like Veda. So, Gordon, today we're here to talk about insurance and the biggest challenge to insurance, especially in the specialty market. You know, as I recently attended ITC in Vegas, that's InsurTech Connect. One of the things that I heard from insurers, not just specialty insurers, but really from all the standard lines, was that the core systems for rating and pricing weren't very flexible and often didn't take into account new variables and data points that need to be part of those rating and pricing decisions. Can you kind of set up the discussion for us?
Yeah, sure. And thanks, Danny. Just to set the table here a little bit, we've recently done an exercise where, here at Decisions, I've been here 7.5 years. Since we started as a company about 14 years ago, we've signed 500 to 600 customers. We're technologists. We sell to technologists. We solve technology problems. And about 5 years ago, I remember we did a comprehensive survey of our customers looking for common use case patterns. And we created this, what we call this spaghetti diagram of use cases, and there wasn't a lot of match or overlap. Well, we decided to do that again and reach out. And when we started to analyze our customer base, what we saw was that in insurance, we had the highest retention of any vertical. So the customers that we signed, we kept, and the ones that we kept bought more and more. So we're like, wow, this is interesting. Let's talk. Let's start with talking to all of our insurance customers. Let's find out what they're doing with decisions. I mean, Danny just mentioned all these different use cases. Let's find out what they're doing, how they're using us, and to see if there's a pattern here, something we can learn. And, perhaps even make changes to the platform to serve them better, right? So we recently talked to most, if not all, of our insurance customers, and okay, you can see the results here that agility was paramount to them. But just some interesting statistics out of all of the use cases that we were doing, about a third of them is pricing and rating, right? So that was fully a third of the use cases in the insurance space. And then two-thirds is what I call the dog's breakfast of use cases. It's workflow automation, it's integration, it's all these special things that is the reason why most people buy decisions. If there's an out-of-the-box solution, they'll buy it. But we're typically bought to do that special thing that they can't do anywhere else, and they want it quickly. But kind of focusing in on this rating and pricing, this is what we heard, is that basically their old way of doing it wasn't fast enough, wasn't flexible enough. And pricing and rating is key to their business. They've got to be able to change pricing quickly, to take advantage of typically their niche or their speed, and speed to price correctly is a competitive advantage for all of our customers. And so it was critically important. So a lot of the rest of what we'll be talking about is kind of focused around this rating pricing use case and why the decisions platform is a good fit. But I think in general, you'll hear what we heard from these close to 40 conversations that we've had around these use cases around pricing and rating. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So, and Lewis and I can chat back and forth and talk. Lewis has got the experience in the industry. I sat in on all of these conversations and have been involved in the sales process. But there's a couple of new things happening, I think. And the first is that, there's all kinds of new data sets available to the insurance industry, to underwriters, that they're taking advantage of to do even better pricing within their space. The top left, telematics, for example. We have one client that is adjusting auto insurance rates based on driver behavior, right? So if you're a good, solid driver and the data tells you that, they can give you a better rate. Of course, the opposite is also true. But this is data that was available, that's available now that never was before, right? And there's smart devices like that. There's satellite data. There's all kinds of new data sources available that give insurers additional ways to get smarter and more precise about the pricing, about the niches that they serve. Lewis, anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think it's worth reflecting on the role that data is playing, has always played, but I think in the last 4 or 5 years in particular, there's just been a significant push to leverage data like the ones that you see on the screen here to not only as part of the runtime, the real-time calculation of price, to be smarter, so like telematics, for example, using data that's available to make immediate decisions based on a rating model. But there's also a lot of data that's being consumed at the pricing level or the product level by your actuaries and data analysts to even set the rates in the first place. And so this has created a significant push to be more agile in the way, both the way that the rating models are constructed, that being a bit more creative about how you price in the first place, but then being able to pivot and modify these models and the rates on a hairpin. And previously, we've moved from having annual or semi-annual pricing reviews and cycles to now we find ourselves in conversations where this is happening on a weekly or even monthly basis, where actuaries and product analysts are wanting to understand how performance is happening in real time to make sure that the insurance book is balanced and you're actually pricing for the type of risks that you want as well. So it's not just about competitiveness, it's also about the sustainability of your insurance book as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I would point out is with this additional data comes different data model structures, different formats, and that a traditional rating engine, pricing engine that lives within a packaged software application or a custom coded application, it can get very difficult to now shoehorn in this new data set that the software wasn't built for, that has a different data structure, and that the software can't handle. So that was a common piece of feedback in that they had this new data and they couldn't fit it into what they were doing before. All right, next slide, Danny.
I love this one. I love turtles.
Yeah. Okay, this I would say most of our customers doing rating and pricing were actually moving over from a home coded system, right? And the most consistent piece of feedback we had was that it was just too slow to make changes. I had one of our clients said they were underpriced for 4.5 months because of one rule, and it just took that long to get one simple rule changed to adjust their price. The IT department had a laundry list of priorities, and this one rule what didn't float up to the top. Even when it got in, you have it goes to the code team, it goes through QA, and then it gets pushed out on the right cycle. So it was literally 4.5 months to get a pricing change. And he said, today with decisions, typically I make a change in 2 to 5 days. But he said, in an emergency, it's 2 hours where I can change a rule, get it tested, have everybody review it, and push it to production. So the traditional, again, software development lifecycle, it's slow. I probably don't have to tell you all this. You've all experienced it. Lewis, some comments here.
Yeah, so I think our experience with this is depending on the product line and the size of the organization. Certainly, there's an issue with speed, but it's not always about having a rapid development or rapid changes within a homegrown solution. There's also challenges where in the mid market or in the smaller end of town, where you're relying on an insurance platform, particularly in the MGA or the intermediary space, you're using an insurance platform that has built-in rating capability, but these follow a set pattern. You're working within the confines of that. So a lot of the people that we speak to, we're having conversations with them, not only because they have a slow cycle themselves, but their vendors are either too slow to respond, too slow to move, or they actually can't support the models that they're looking for as well. So, and that's when people start thinking about patchwork to try to make things happen and things get worse. So, yeah, the overall dilemma around change when you're working with either an in-house or an off-the-shelf solution, we see this as an accelerating issue.
Yeah, actually, Lewis, as you mentioned that, it reminds me too of another conversation where a gentleman told me that when it was in hard code, you over time you end up with literally hundreds and thousands of rules that govern risk and price, right? And if you want to change one and it's in code, you might typically search because the programmer has to know where that rule is. He might search for the value that's let's call it 500 he finds a 500 somewhere, he changes it. Turns out that he's actually changed the wrong one, and it has implications in other places. And your code at a certain point reaches sort of this complexity level where nobody can understand it anymore, and everyone's afraid to change it because there's been some screw ups. So we've also heard that, yeah, there's this sort of complexity point where nobody wants to touch it anymore, and you just can't change it. So there's the speed, but there's also this sort of complexity and understanding how it was all put together that compounds.
And Gordon, yeah, if I might just add as well that and this is an old problem. So I think the audience will all resonate with this issue because it's frustrating one, and it's one of the reasons why insurance has this reputation for being very slow to change. But I think it's fair to say that this problem here that we're staring at has also created a general fear of change as well, and sometimes a resistance to change. It's stifled creativity and innovation, and when you couple that with what we spoke about on a previous slide, there's now a massive push for agility, and these two things are colliding, and it's forcing technology departments and CIOs and CTOs in this industry to have a second look at how they support this, and decoupling rating, decoupling pricing is a common strategy to take.
All right. Danny, next slide.
Sure.
And I think we've kind of
Yeah.
we've kind of covered this, right?
Square peg, round hole.
Some of the barriers are that the package software and a lot of the popular platforms are designed for the most common use cases, right? The life insurance, the auto insurance, but certainly not the specialty insurance. And actually, another point that I'll raise is that when we looked at our client base, yes, we have some large life insurance customers, we have auto insurance customers, but the majority were in special niche insurance coverage, things like airports, railroads, metal scrap yards, off-road vehicles, you name it. And the rules, the software just don't match well to those oddball insurance use cases.
Yeah, I think it goes beyond a little bit beyond that, Gordon. If I might add there too, because these the package software they can carry a business up to a certain point. They're designed to follow a mainstream model, and that's not just with insurance; that's anywhere, right? But what we're seeing and what we're hearing a lot more and more often is that organizations at some point recognize that rating and pricing is key to their value proposition. It's a key differentiator for them, and when they turn that corner and recognize that actually the black and white rating model, pricing models that doesn't work for us anymore, and they recognize we need to be a bit more either agile or have models that are a little bit unique. When they turn that corner, that's when we find then that the package softwares just don't, although they try, they just don't support that very well. They even if they do, there's a significant cost and an ongoing liability that has to be taken into consideration, which then opens up the conversation to perhaps going bespoke and again decoupling the whole concept of rating or pricing from that package altogether.
All right. Yeah, and I think we've covered this as well. Lewis, you've talked well and eloquently about this rating model changing faster than ever, and that being kind of the competitive differentiator.
Yeah, exactly. If you're all using the same pricing and ratings engine, right, how are you going to differentiate yourself from your competition?
Yeah. In the data that you mentioned earlier, there's just such a significant volume of data that is available to contribute to the whole pricing mechanism. So one of the examples you had in there was geospatial data, for example. Previously satellite data was in its rawest form was unusable, but a number of businesses have emerged that take that data and essentially massage it for easier consumption by industries like insurance, which then feeds into the whole claims process. It feeds into the pricing process, and that's just opened up a raft of opportunities to rethink how often data models, rating models are reviewed, rates are reviewed, and so and that's just one example. And we see so many of them, and these are all opportunities. And it's that classic scenario where those that adopt and adapt to this faster will be the ones that actually survive this change, because the insurance industry is under immense pressure from all directions to be better, to be more efficient, more cost efficient, and also rate risks better than what they currently do, because we are experiencing significant, especially environmental change. And meeting that, the only real vehicle to do that is with using better and better data. So this problem is actually also probably the biggest opportunity for the industry that exists today.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Let's recap.
Yeah. So I guess just to summarize, I think everyone would sort of resonate with the problems with the software development life cycle for large monolithic applications. I think we talked about how packaged software doesn't fit specialized needs or changes that have to be made, or different data structures or data sources, and that the rating model, the pricing engine, is the competitive. That's the differentiator company to company, and typically where the business is won or lost is being able to take in that additional information, price it appropriately, and grow the business.
Yeah, good thing that low code or no code is 4 to 5 times faster than traditional coding. Let's take a look. Veda, I'm so psyched to see you. I can't wait to see you at the company party tonight.
Same here.
Are you ready to show us the magic?
Of course.
We're going to take a look at a specialty insurance use case here. I'm going to stop sharing so Veda can share.
And while we're switching cameras, just to set the table a little bit here, what Veda is going to show us is our use case example is insurance for musical instruments. So it's a specialty category. And I think you'll see through this example how you could use the decisions rule engine or a rule engine to separate, to price, to create different data structures quickly, and create rules and pricing to handle these special niche areas. So with that, Veda, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Gordon. So as Gordon mentioned, what we're looking at over here is a type of rule within our platform that we call a rule set, and that we're running on this use case for an instrument insurance. So mainly when the applicant submits an instrument claim, and based on the information that we collect from them, we have a bunch of different rules that run in the back end to determine what's going to happen to this claim, either get it approved, denied, or maybe assigned to a specific user or type of users, as well as automatically calculating the premium, so the applicant will get to see what they're applying for. Now, this type of rule set takes in this group of rules that runs as a general rule, if you'd like to, that applies to all type of instruments that we have. And under it, within each type of rules, we customize based on the instrument what type of rules we want to run. That based on it, we'll get a true or false in this case. Now, this is a logical type of rule set. Another rule set that we are using within this use case is this debits and credits for scoring. So this scoring helps us, and as you get to see, we have a list of different types of rules that we are running in one rule set. So this scoring is helping based on a specific score, what will happen to this claim as well, and to its premium. Now, to touch point on how we can easily make changes, each of these rules, we can set a start and end date if we'd like to. We can easily enable and disable if we ever come into a rule that we don't want to use at this point, or we are no longer in need, but we don't want to get rid of it, delete it. We can easily come in here and disable it, as well as how we can easily go into any of these rules, to look at the rule, test it if we ever want to make any changes, see what's going on. So for instance, this type of rule is what we call a truth table. So based on the address state and the lifetime value, we have different types of results that gonna give us a score. So within the use of our unit test, this is how easily we can test within our platform. I have for this case, based on the state and this amount of, or this value of the lifetime, I got these two outputs. But what if I want to ever make a change, but I'm not ready to commit the change, or I don't know what's going to come out of it? I can easily, within the same testing window, make changes to my rules, to my inputs, and see what will happen to it. So I can easily get to see, now that I changed the low value within this one, how will that affect the outcome? And moving on, how would that affect the premium and what will happen to this claim? And now, if I'm ready to commit to the changes, I can simply save it. Otherwise, I can just exit without saving it. This is what we wanted to show you as from a back end, one type of rules that we are running on that use case.
Yeah, interesting, Vida. Can you jump back into the one of those truth tables?
Sure.
And I would just point out, if you think about, I mean, part of the reason a rule engine is easy for underwriters, for business people to understand, is it looks kind of like an Excel spreadsheet, right? You have the states. In this case, it's U.S. states, and there's a list of them there. If you were to imagine what this looks like, if this would have been code, only a programmer could do it, and it would probably be several yards or meters of code spelling if Virginia, Florida, or this,
Right.
then that. So it ends up being a lot of very codey, and a business person couldn't look at it and understand. And we have a lot of clients where the IT team sets up the initial rules, the integrations, the system, and then turns over the rule editors to the business people, to underwriters, to edit and maintain. And so that they only see this, they have access, they don't have access to other parts of the platform, but they can come in, edit, and maintain and change these rules. Additionally, Veda showed the unit tests. You can back test these rules against data. Let's say I had applications over the last 2 years, and I wanted to see what a change to a rule would have done. What would my acceptance rate have been over the last 2 years with this new rule versus what my old rule was? So that's what our clients are doing. A lot of not only logic testing, but back testing against previous applications to understand what that might have done. Would I have, if I'm constricting, will it, how much would it have dropped my book? Or if I had, expanded because I'm trying to grow, what would these changes have done to the history of applications that we've got?
I think another really cool thing about our rules engine is that any individual rule that you build in the decisions platform can be called over API, right? Without workflow, without all the other components, right? If you were just want to use decisions as a rule engine, you can easily, within about 3 clicks, publish it as an endpoint, and so it can talk to other systems. Really valuable.
Yeah, so every rule, every flow within the platform for our technical users, or technical people, can be exposed as an API endpoint. And actually, what Veda has shown here today, it's all back-end things. This is not something that a applicant would see or anybody internal. This is sort of just the back-end logic code in terms of the pricing or rating engine, or in claims, for example.
Correct.
All right. Anything else there, Veda, or nothing?
Anything else you would like to see?
Okay. Well,
That's it.
again, this is sort of just a quick, and again, if what she had just pulled up was what we call a flow in decisions, and sometimes you're stringing logic together and rules together with flows, and it allows you to string these things together in combinations that may not be possible in traditional software. But if you'd like to see more, I'd ask you to reach out to sales@decisions.com, or if you're on the other side of the planet, reach out to Lewis at DX Labs, and he would be happy to talk insurance with you.
Right on, man. Lewis, we really appreciate you getting up so early in the morning, and we especially appreciate all of you for attending, especially so close to the holidays. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so psyched for our company party tonight. Lewis's company party is tonight, so I hope that you're all getting ready to gather with colleagues and toasting the holidays. Be sure to check us out for our next webinar. It's January the 23rd on Closing Loans Faster, How Automation Powers Financial Transformation. And excuse me, we'll be at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, March 18th through the 20th at SAP Insider. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great holidays.